How to rejuvenate your body with fasting? If you start to stop eating, what magical changes will your body undergo? Today, a video helps you uncover the mysteries of fasting. When you stop eating, the first thing you feel is hunger, and the intensity of this hunger depends on how accustomed your body is to using fat as fuel. Since our diet has always been dominated by carbohydrates like rice and flour, the body is used to relying on glucose for energy, not fat. Fat can be converted into ketones by the liver when there's no food, ensuring our survival. This is why we have fat cells throughout our body. However, glucose is stored only in the muscles and liver in very limited amounts and will be depleted about 24 hours after eating, making you feel very hungry if you skip a meal. If you train your body to use fat as fuel, such as through low-carb and ketogenic diets, or have previously experienced long periods of fasting, you won't feel severe hunger. This is due to a hormone called ghrelin, which stimulates your appetite. Research shows that for most people, ghrelin spikes sharply only during regular meal times, like breakfast, lunch, and dinner. But for those accustomed to low-carb diets and intermittent fasting, there are no significant ghrelin spikes, and any spike is short-lived, lasting about 2 hours before returning to normal, thereby reducing appetite. Returning to the process, about 24 hours after eating, glycogen stores are nearly depleted. Now the body starts burning fat for fuel. Triglycerides stored in fat are broken down into glycerol and free fatty acids, with the latter being immediately used for energy. Some of the glycerol is sent to the liver and converted into glucose through a process called gluconeogenesis, temporarily providing the brain with the glucose it needs. During this time, you might start feeling cold as the body reduces its temperature due to not needing to digest food, and thyroid function, which regulates metabolism, decreases. As fasting days increase, the body starts converting protein into glucose through gluconeogenesis, which means muscle breakdown. This phenomenon usually occurs after about 72 hours because in the initial days, the body increases growth hormone levels, which promotes fat cells to release fatty acids, helping to conserve amino acids to maintain muscle mass. Some people might start breaking down muscle sooner, but on average, it takes about 3 days. At this point, the body triggers a series of unique metabolic events. After 72 hours of fasting, the body activates a cellular process called autophagy. Autophagy is like a waste recycling function within cells, clearing out damaged and dysfunctional cells and converting this waste into materials used for growth and repair. This process reduces inflammation and fights various diseases, improving the immune system. The body produces new white blood cells, which are powerful in fighting diseases. Unfortunately, if you continue fasting for several days, these positive effects on the immune system will collapse, as prolonged fasting leads to malnutrition, depriving the body of the vitamins and minerals needed to maintain the immune system. This is why research shows that hunger increases the risk of infection. Over time, your body will continue to break down the remaining muscle, fat, and even bones, eventually slowing down or shutting down organs to conserve energy. You might experience hair loss, brittle nails, frequent infections, and slow wound healing. During this process, your brain also undergoes a roller coaster of changes. When fasting for several days, neurogenesis, the formation of new neurons in the brain, increases. Higher neurogenesis can improve cognitive function, enhance learning and memory, and combat neurodegeneration. For instance, Chris Hemsworth, who discovered his genetic risk for Alzheimer's, tried a 96-hour fast to promote neurogenesis. At this time, your brain produces more proteins, such as BDNF, which help brain cell production, marking a sort of second evolution for the brain. Unfortunately, as mentioned earlier, the longer you fast, these positive effects turn negative. Prolonged fasting will make it increasingly difficult for your brain to function normally. The gluconeogenesis process, converting proteins and fats into glucose, cannot sustain indefinitely. Your brain might start metabolizing its structures, shrinking in size to stay alive at the last moment. Similarly, the body will do this to the heart and other organs. Without food, organ failure is likely, though the exact time is unclear due to ethical concerns in research. Anecdotal evidence suggests that survival without food might not exceed 2 months, depending on body fat reserves. In summary, short-term fasting, about 16 to 72 hours, can be beneficial for fat loss, immunity, and brain health. However, this type of intermittent fasting might not be suitable for everyone, so it is recommended to do it under a doctor's guidance to ensure safety. If you don't understand intermittent fasting, don't try it lightly. There are many methods of intermittent fasting, such as 16+8, alternate day fasting, the 5-2 diet, the warrior diet, and even eating one meal a day. Today, let's learn about all the fasting methods. For beginners, the easiest to master is 16+8. 16+8 means you will fast for 16 hours each day and then eat all your food within an 8-hour eating window. If you have a lot of social engagements in the evening, you can simply skip breakfast. However, I still recommend skipping dinner, as breakfast is the cheapest meal. Of course, 16+8 doesn't mean you can only eat 2 meals a day. Technically, you can eat as many meals as you want as long as they are all within the 8-hour window. By limiting your daily eating time, you are likely to automatically reduce your calorie intake. You can allocate 30% of your daily total calories to the first meal and the remaining 70% to the last meal, preparing a hearty dinner. Alternatively, you can reverse this or distribute the calories equally between the 2 meals. You can also eat 3 meals distributed as 2-6 compared to 16+8. A more challenging method is the warrior diet. The warrior diet allows only a 4-hour eating window each day. This mimics the eating pattern of ancient warriors. But during the remaining 20 hours, you are not completely foodless. You can have small amounts of dairy products, boiled eggs, raw vegetables, and fruits. The benefit of the warrior diet is that it might reduce total calorie intake since it's difficult to overeat in a 4-hour window. Although the hot dog eating champion can still consume nearly 20,000 calories in 10 minutes, logically, cramming an entire day's worth of food into just 4 hours will make you feel uncomfortable. You can again divide your eating time according to your preference, deciding when to eat more. After mastering the warrior diet, you can try the next plan, OMAD, Andi, 1 meal a day, which means you have only 1 meal a day or 1 to 2 hours of eating time. Therefore, you can choose more high-calorie foods or a lavish meal. It is important to start with high-quality protein, plenty of vegetables, healthy carbohydrates, and quality fats. Due to the time limitation, it might be challenging to get enough nutrients. The last 2 eating plans are alternate day fasting and the 5-2 diet. These 2 are very similar methods. Alternate day fasting means not eating anything every other day, resulting in nearly 0 calorie intake for that day, and you can eat freely the next day. This method eliminates the need to count daily calories because it's unlikely to consume 2 days worth of food in 1 day. The 5-2 diet means fasting for 2 days and eating freely for 5 days each week. These 2 days don't have to be consecutive. Some people choose to consume about 500 calories on fasting days. If you feel you need those 500 calories, it's better to stick with a shorter fasting plan, like 16+8. Before choosing a suitable fasting method, understand that the main purpose of intermittent fasting is not weight loss. It is more commonly used to aid in treating certain diseases. Since intermittent fasting is not a specific diet plan, but rather a pattern, it doesn't have specific calorie limits or macronutrient requirements. The benefits of intermittent fasting include improving insulin sensitivity, enhancing the repair process of aging and damaged cells, and providing mental clarity. For those who don't know how to count daily calories, intermittent fasting might help reduce calorie intake. Whether you practice carb cycling, traditional bodybuilding, or the 4-4-2 macronutrient split, you can utilize these eating patterns. However, if your diet doesn't have a calorie deficit, you still won't lose weight. Also, when ending your fast, start with protein-rich foods and vegetables. Avoid binge eating to prevent overeating. It's recommended to include plenty of green vegetables, quality protein, healthy fats, and high-fiber carbohydrates in your diet, as these foods can keep you feeling full longer. You can have a little junk food without compromising results, but remember to eat snacks and sweets only after you've filled up on healthy food, as most junk food is high in calories but not very filling. During the eating period, you can drink black coffee to reduce hunger. Drinking plenty of water throughout the day also helps. You can drink things like green tea and lemon water. Next time, we'll talk about the best diet method for ordinary people that doesn't require fasting or hunger.